Now this is basically working like a felt stove until those jets take off. If this doesn't work, I have one more idea. I think I mentioned it earlier about putting some felt around the base down here. I'd rather not do that because then you start getting closer to what could be your ground or grass or wherever you happen to be cooking. So I'd rather not put something below it, rather above it and in a safe spot. And by below it, I'll show you what I was talking about. I'm not going to do it, but I'll just show you something similar to wrapping some felt around here, a thin piece, obviously not this big, but wrapping some felt around here and then super gluing it together. Because believe it or not, this stuff and super glue work beautifully. See if I can cut a piece and start to build what I was thinking about. Although it looks like it may be working with it on top, doesn't mean we can't test the bottom option as well. I don't know if I have any pieces long enough to go all the way down at this point. I have to cut a couple little strips, one for each side, and just super glue them around. I don't think this will actually fit. No, it's close, but it wouldn't fit all the way around. Cut another little piece. The problem with super gluing it on there is that it would be a permanent piece of it. Not that that'd be the worst thing in the world. So you'd be surprised you can super glue these things together and they'd stay together, even with flame on them and everything, they'd stay right together. And that would be plenty long. We'd find out where it needs to be. It was probably not even that much, and then just super glue that back together underneath there. Then you just squirt a little fluid on it. Although this method is working on top, so rather than having the wick on the bottom, here I'm talking away, not even watching. That seems to be working. I'm gonna let you see what we have here up close. We've got that perfect flame coming off the rim of that. I don't know if that's going to be the answer or if there's a better answer. I definitely like the answer of flame being up here versus way down here. The flame down here would be awful close to the ground. Oh, it's a pretty big wick I have in there right now. That carbon felt I have inside there right now is a pretty big wick just to get those jets to work. And I'm wondering, the jets are working, but they are working different than when they were working before. I can't tell if it's just interesting how it sweats like that and gets the fluid, the flame actually sweats the fuel out. A very similar flame to what we had with the felt top. Leading me to believe that this is no different than using the felt. We're not getting that jet. We're almost to a boil here already. It's 5 minutes in, I think. I'm just going to pick that up. See if we have any jets or if we just have a felt burning there. I need some place to set this down. I just want to look from the top down. I think we've actually maybe covered some of our jets there with this. And that's still soaked pretty good. We're still burning fuel in that wick. So we've got a little bit of a combination going on here with the jets and the felt there. Although there are definitely jets pumping out fuel. Maybe that's why that felt's still wet. Now I had a lot of fuel in here. It's nice how it works right to the edge of that pot stand. I mean, the flame comes right to the edge of that pot stand. You can see it right there around the edge there. All the way around the edge over here. It just comes right out. It just finds that outside piece of metal and works off of that. Wherever it happens to be, that's what it works off of. And it's really nice. I like that. A nice outer ring of flame. I'll stand up against. What we haven't tried is we haven't tried this in any kind of windy conditions outside in the real environment. We have no lid on right now, but we're starting to get a slight boil. Definitely getting a little bit of a boil going. But with that heat pattern, like that, I would see why. Now I am going to time it with butane, which is what makes this stove so very unique, is that it can do multiple ways of cooking. So if you're hiking and you run into a place that doesn't have the butane bottles, which probably is your quickest way to boil something, if that's all you're doing is boiling. If you run into a place that doesn't have butane, then you've always got, most of your filling stations have this. Most of your Walmarts, your Targets, Kmarts, those kind of places all have heat in a bottle. $1.49, maybe $2 at a gas station. Gas station's a little more expensive. Take that, fill up 2 of these bottles. That's your fuel. You take it with you wherever you go. That's one way of carrying fuel. This is the other way here. These seem to be heavier than the liquid bottles. The liquid bottles don't take up a lot of room, but then neither do the big canisters. But the canisters are crushable and disposable when they're done, whereas the liquid canisters that you use for your alcohol, you'd want to return home and take with you as you finish with those. You wouldn't want to throw them out every time you use them. So we've got definitely a good flame on this. I like that flame. Nice, even flame right out to the edge of this pot. Now this is the only pot that I've tested this with, is my grease pot that I mentioned. I don't know if you can see the word on there. It says grease on there. There it is, grease. These make for nice camping pots because they are so flimsy and thin and easy to cook on. They hold a lot of water. This one actually came with a strainer on top of it. I don't have it up here. I have it down in my workroom. But it came with a strainer, a lid, and a pot. Well, that's perfect, because then the strainer, you can grab this and the strainer at the same time. And if you were to have noodles in there, grab both of them at the same time, tip it up, all your water comes out. All your water comes out when you tip it up, but none of your noodles or anything come out. So that strainer works perfectly. The whole thing cost me, I think, $7 for the pot, which is a lot cheaper than a titanium pot. Maybe not as sturdy, but a titanium pot cost you $26, $30, $40, depending on what kind you buy. This costs you $7. Go through 3 of these, and if you damage 3 of them, you still wouldn't be up to that price. So it's an interesting thought. Now these only come in one size that I know of, so you couldn't fit one inside of another one. But I have 2 cups of water in there. I could easily hold probably 6 cups of water in here if I needed to cook something. 2 cups and a lot of spaghetti noodles, so it works out well. This is definitely I like the way this boil looks on here. It's not an extensive boil. It's a light boil. Of course I don't have the lid on, but it's a nice boil. So that's nice. I like that. Okay. Well, this is going to burn for a long time. I got a lot of fuel in there, I think, so I'm going to go ahead and just let it go. And then I'm going to show you a video, I think, with the and you can see that the felt here actually is not burning anymore. When it's glowing orange like that, that's actually not burning from fuel anymore. That's just fire hitting the felt. I imagine we could take that felt off there and it would have no fire on it. Let's very cautiously, let's try and grab that. Man, these things don't make much for grabbing, except for pots. And you can see, it has no flame at all. It is just a steaming piece of felt, which I'll put right down there for now. And this is hot enough now that it's actually maintaining its own. Now, here's what we were showing earlier, is that when I put something like this, it's maintaining its own, but because the heat is being trapped in there, earlier this thing, from that low flame, grows rather quickly from the heat that transfers down from these rods. Now, it's glowing a little orange. I don't know if you see that color or not in the camera, but it tends to be meaning the fuel is starting to run out when it's glowing orange. So I don't know how much fuel I actually have left. And I can't add fuel in this manner while it's on. It tends to just steam off the metal there. But as you can see, by putting the pot on there, that flame comes right back to a full size flame. And without the felt on there, we're getting a really, really good flame coming off that. I mean, that is a nice boiling type flame. However, you need that felt to get it started. And that's not as big of a piece of felt as Jarrett was putting out. That's the piece Jarrett gave us. And that's the piece I cut out of something I had laying around here. And you can see that this is something like Tinny would use in his stoves, this type of felt here, I think. It's a much spongier felt, it's a more forgiving felt when it comes to tears and stuff. This stuff is a little less flexible, but there's no reason for it to flex. So they both burn exactly the same. I haven't noticed a difference in the way they burn. I did a test with some big pieces of this is the 1/4 inch felt, and this is the 400th, I think Jarrett calls it. I did a test with these in this stove. It didn't burn any different than this, except I had to use 3 pieces of this and only 2 pieces of this because of the thickness. So I don't know if there's much difference there as far as how the felts work. I do know that this piece here is a lot stiffer than this, which is flimsy. I don't know if that means anything. You can see where it actually sat on his plug. On this one, it actually held the plug imprint from the bottom of the stove, but on this one, that imprint just, nothing, this is impenetrable. You can't damage this stuff. It's hard and stiff. Good, bad, I don't know, but it works well. This stuff worked well, as well, but I had to use 3 layers of this and only 2 layers of this to get it to the top of the ledge where the simmer tray sits. Now, currently the simmer tray ledge, 2 layers of this is too much. So, what I did when I was using the simmer tray was I did this. 1 layer of this, 1 layer of this. As we're speaking, there goes the last of my fuel in the stove there. And it was really rolling there when it was boiling. Let's see, now that's come way down, and I assume it's going to run out of fuel here in the next few seconds. I think it's 15 minutes now. We'll probably actually have to cut this or speed it up at some point just to fit it on YouTube. And it's hard to see once you take the pot off and get the light on there, but you can see she's about down to nothing. And there goes the last of the fuel in that.